All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to react to an interview that took place yesterday with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. Virtual press conference took place for the fight that they will be having on July 29th, and Terence Crawford said some things that, man, that's an interesting guy. Explains the reason that he took the Errol Spence Jr. fight, and then talks about what he thinks about the fight itself. And they're both very interesting answers. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Let's talk about more of this big fight that is coming up on July 29th. There was a press conference that took place yesterday, a virtual press conference. And in that virtual press conference, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford were both interviewed by CUSTER. And on top of being interviewed by CUSTER, of the host of Showtime boxing events, there's also a lot of different media questions. And in this interview, Terence Crawford talked about two things that I want to cover in this video because they really both struck me as funny. One, because clearly it's something I believe was the case, and honestly was a reason why I made a lot of videos on YouTube, and why I know that Terence Crawford may be a little bit irritated with me. And then the second one was that something that he said that reminded me of Bob Arum and Bob Arum's frustration with Terence Crawford selling fights. Now, before I get into the details of that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. If you like the content that we put out here, if you don't like the content, hey, don't hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs down. But if you do, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and thank you to everybody that supports in the channel. It's really important to the channel. So thank you to everybody that subscribes and keeps it moving. And especially special thanks to anybody and everybody that sponsors this video through the super thanks. It is a great way to continue to allow us to do these type of videos. So thank you to guys like Matty Yole and Mr. Pragmatic and Paul Carrick, and guys like you that are out there supporting and sponsoring videos like this aside from the live streams. Thank you. But before we get into that, I just want to tell you real fast about today's sponsor, the Boxing Showtime app. It's a very useful app that keeps you updated on all things boxing, and you can keep up with the latest fights, where to watch them, the latest news, and a lot more. For any hardcore boxing fan like myself, and most likely all of y'all, I would definitely recommend downloading it. And it also is most definitely a big support to the channel. It's available for both Apple and Android, and you can find the link in the description below. Thanks for considering downloading Boxing Showtime's app. But let's get back into the subject matter of the video. Terence Crawford was talking about the fight and why he took this fight. And he said that he got asked about it all the time. And then the thing that seemed to me where he said, look, man, at a point I knew I had to find a way to make this fight happen is when his kids started asking him about it. And his kids say, hey, Dad, when are you going to fight this Spencer guy? When are you going to fight this Spencer guy? I mean, and then he said, it's Spence. He said, yeah, Errol Spence. When are you going to fight this guy? And his son saying, in respect to his family, I want to make sure when I'm mentioning things that people's family are saying that I'm not in any way insulting, not trying to be disrespectful at all to their families at all. So his son says, like, you know, Dad, I'm going to be at this fight. I don't care what you say. I don't care. I'm going to be at this fight, Dad. So he said, look, when your kids are on you like that, you got to take the fight. So to me, I was like, yeah, that's the feeling that I got, man. It's like, The reason that he took this fight is because so many people pressured him to take this fight, and people were on his back about making him get this fight. Not necessarily that he himself wanted the fight, which makes sense considering the rest of the things that Terence Crawford said and the answers that he gave, which were consistent to things that he had said in the past, and actually make a little bit more sense to me now that I heard him say it in the fashion that he said it, which was that he basically feels, and here I'm paraphrasing and giving you the meaning that I received from the words that he spoke, was that he had already felt as a guy that is later in his career, 35, 36 years old, that he had already had a full career at 135 and 140 before he got to 147. And that, nothing will replace the championships that he had at 135 or being undisputed at 140. He says that his biggest moment in his career really is going overseas and fighting Ricky Burns, right? And that is kind of where he saw himself in his career before he got to 147 pounds, which is not, if you had a lot of success and you're a champion, you're on the pound for pound list and you really know who Errol Spence Jr. is, but Errol's just some up and coming kid, you may feel that way. And then, but now that he's in the weight class, him not wanting to make that fight for a while, it seemed like to me the words coming out of his mouth, because that's what the interviewers and the people there were asking him. Like, you said you were past it, you didn't care about the fight, right? Well, makes sense. Hey, I'm getting a lot of pressure from my kids, from my family, from people, all around asking me about it all the time. So once my kids do it, it's like there's no way out of the fight. And that's what I've been thinking the idea was. And once he got his money. Now, the thing that reminded me very, very heavily of Bob Arum, though, was when he talked about the fight itself and how big the fight was and said that he doesn't believe the fight's that big. I was like, man, Terence, now don't tell me, Terence, that you don't know how to answer a question the right way and that you're just somebody that's stuck on giving an honest opinion about everything. Because later on, when they asked him about his weight and asked him how much weight he had to lose, he smiled and said, yeah, man, I only got to lose about 5 pounds. Nah, man, you got to lose more than 5 pounds, man. Bomac already said you was up in the 160s. So nah, don't tell me. Nah, you got to lose more than 5 pounds to get down to 147 pounds, man. So don't tell me that, he's just spitting the truth, uncut, raw and uncut. So he could have done a little bit more promotion on that. Be like, yeah, this is the biggest fight. Yeah, this is the biggest fight that there is in boxing. This is the biggest fight that there's been since 2008, for the last 8 years. When was that? 2015, when there was Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao, which is about the truth. Now, for him to say that, this isn't the type of fight where, I can go to my grandmother's house next door and ask her and she knows about it. Look, you could go to grandmother's house next door and ask about Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Still did 1 million pay-per-views. You could have asked them, grandmother's house, asked the next door neighbor's grandmother's house about Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. She wouldn't have known about that either. I think that particular analogy or that metric or that measurement is a little bit outdated. That may have mattered with Muhammad Ali, but ain't nobody since Muhammad Ali or maybe Mike Tyson. I guess Floyd, somewhat to Floyd, because remember, Floyd is a pay-per-view star, which means he has a lot of people on pay-per-view. Not everybody watching the fight on free television like Ali, right? So Ali was a television star. Floyd Mayweather's a pay-per-view star, which means, hey man, there's a lot of the people that want to see you. There's a lot of people that are willing to pay to see you, but not as many people are seeing you and not as many people are talking about you. So there's a difference between the two. And I kind of wish people would kind of put that away, because if that is the metric for boxing to say whether or not it's a really big fight or not, man, there aren't any big fights in boxing, but we all know that that's not true. Right? Because with the advent of pay-per-view and the amount of money that people are making, look, dude, it's the only thing that matters is what people that love the sport think anyway. right? Because what are you trying to do? You're trying to you think women are going to turn off you think some 80-year-old women are going to turn off their crocheting videos to stop and watch you box? Anyway, man, just don't make sense to me. But anyway, with all of that, man, I still love the press conference, still really, looking forward to the fight without a doubt. Anyway, so you please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.